Yesterday, a full Major League Baseball card on a Tuesday. The same thing on this Wednesday. That's 15 games, all 30 clubs in action. And a rarity this week, 11 of the 15 sets in the midweek are an interleague matchup, a team from the AL versus a team from the NL. So here we are, DRS, approaching the middle of June, the dog days of summer when a ton of focus is on Major League Baseball. So we use these interleague affairs across all of the league to take a look at the World Series prices as of right now and some World Series specials. Winning league of the Fall Classic. The National League is a hefty favorite in this match bet at minus 142. The American League, the underdog, as that side of MLB at plus 116. A first-time winner of the World Series, that's minus 1,500 to the no. The yes is plus 790. According to our great producer, Joe Frizo, the first-time winners of the Fall Classic would be the Rockies, Brewers, Padres, Mariners, or Rays. Those are your five clubs around the 30 in Major League Baseball that would fit that distinction. Let's start with winning league because that's a very interesting conversation at this point. Do you believe the National League should have that minus money price at minus 142?
I do, but maybe a little bit inflated. Can that be fair to be said? Because I do think there's two teams in the American League and two teams in the National League with legitimate chances, each one of them, to win a World Series. It'd be the Philadelphia Phillies and the Dodgers here in the NL, and then you take a look at just the AL East, basically, of the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. I like both of those sides at this point here. So I look at the minus 142, and I say it makes sense that the NL is favored here, but I wouldn't have them favored close to that minus 150 threshold. I think it'll be a little bit less because I do believe you can make a great case for either one of those four teams. And also keep in mind, we are not seeing these complete teams just yet. Post All-Star break, post trade deadline, we'll see what actually shakes out here. But if you're going to tell me, hey, Donnie, I think the Yankees will win it, I'll say, okay, I think the Orioles, same thing. And also the two National League teams with the Dodgers and the Phillies. There's great arguments to be made. I just think the National League should be favored, maybe not that high, Ben.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear as to why. When you look at the World Series odds at the moment, the Dodgers have been the short favorites all year long in the preseason, plus 250. Yankees second best price, $2 back at plus 450. The Phillies now at 6-1 in the Braves plus 850. There are four teams with a three-digit price below 10-1, even below 12-1, where the Orioles stand at this moment. And three of those four teams with a triple-digit number hail from the National League. I'm not sure the Braves deserve that short of a number at this moment. Oh, they did it with Ronald Acuna Jr. a couple of years ago. It's a very different story now without your reigning National League MVP and the ace of the staff in Spencer Strider. But still, two of the three best prices to win the World Series hail from the National League. That's why the minus 142 price favors the NL. But we had this conversation with Craig Mish yesterday, and I think it's a really fair point, Donnie. There are five teams right now in the National League, only 5 out of 15 that are above 500, and one of the 5 just got there yesterday, the Padres with a victory over the A's. They're a game above 500. There are 4 teams in the National League that are 2 games above 500 or better. The Phillies, Braves, Brewers, Dodgers. That's it. There's only 6 teams in the AL that have a winning record at this moment. All 6, at least 2 games above 500 or better. It's the Yankees and the Orioles in the American League East. It's 3 teams from the AL Central, the Guardians, the Royals, and the Twins, and only the Mariners, the only team above 500 in the American League West. That includes the Astros, who have reached 7 consecutive ALCSs, and the reigning World Series champions, the Texas Rangers. There's a lot of teams right now playing mediocre or, frankly, less than mediocre baseball around MLB, which will be fascinating to follow as that postseason picture becomes clearer and a little bit more realistic come late August into early September.
Yeah, no, and you bring up a good point here because typically, like in the NFL, we talk about like parity is really good for the sport, but the parity in Major League Baseball is a parity of bad teams here. Now, somebody's going to have to rise up and claim some of those wild card spots and maybe get hot at the right time like my Philadelphia Phillies have been doing for the past couple years. But that's why each and every time we talk about who can win the World Series and what league can do it, I only bring up 4 teams here. And rightfully so. Like the Atlanta Braves still are a quality team. I just don't think they have enough to get over the hump. The Milwaukee Brewers are a quality team. Just don't think they can get over the hump at this point. So no shame in their game overall. I just think there's 4 clear-cut favorites, 2 in each league here with the best chances to win the World Series. But again, we're still talking about a long summer. And as we talk about some of these teams trying to get it together, you'll see some teams, again, 15-2 over the last 17 games, 20 of 25 they've won here. Yeah. We're waiting for some of those teams to step up with all that talent here. We've already seen it from the top 4 contenders, but somebody is going to get that, apple of the eye from the public in late August. Like, ooh, if this team does a couple things, gets hot, they could be dangerous in the playoffs. It happens every single year.
Yeah, it really does. And listen, there is a lot of baseball left. Teams hovering around 70 games, a little bit less than that for most around Major League Baseball. In 162, we're not even at the midway point of this 2024 MLB campaign. Which division has the best shot of the 6 around the major leagues to win a World Series? Do not bet the National League West at plus 230. Although the Dodgers are in that division and the frontrunners to win a World Series, the Dodgers price individually is plus 250. But the Padres, Ben, the Giants, no, it's not worth the bet. It is bad value. I think the bets, DRS, in the American League East, the 2 frontrunners in the AL, that would be the Yankees and the Orioles, plus 280. That price not terrible, although shorter than New York's number at a plus 450 price to win a World Series, and the National League East at plus 330 because of the Phils and the Braves. But it's an interesting market because, again, there's not many teams with a winning record, so it's not like you have the strongholds of a division where you're going to have 3 of the 6 teams in that league reach the postseason bracket.
Yeah, and again, it's easy for me when you take a look at those numbers. Like the NOS obviously is there because the Dodgers are the favorite, but you want more bang for your buck. It's certainly going to come from the AL East. 2 teams that I said, I think the 2 best teams in the American League reside in that same division. So obviously going through the playoffs, one of those teams is going to get knocked out. Obviously you don't get 2 of those teams to show up in the World Series to take on the Dodgers, right? That's not going to happen in the betting landscape and in the scape of Major League Baseball. But for me, I'm betting on the AL East. I would take that plus 280 price. And it's a shame. You go down that list, and we've always talked about this. Nobody ever gives any love to the Central divisions in either league because they're always figured inferior. Meanwhile, one of those teams has to win the division. One of those teams will have a first-round advantage being at home here. And also, you take a look at the Guardians, who have a very good record. But again, you take a look at the AL Central at a plus 950 price, and you're just talking about that NL Central, which is the Brewers. That's a 15-1 price right now. I do agree they should be the lowest on the landscape, but at the same time, there is going to be value because it's not as if, why pick the AL Central? Man, it's a shame none of those guys made the playoffs. No, one of those teams has to get in, and you're going to get a good price on it.
You're going to get the division winner. There's a chance if Milwaukee continues to be the only team with a winning mark in that National League Central division, they could bolster their overall record to maybe get one of the 2 buys through that wild card round and into the division series in the Major League Baseball playoff bracket with how the expanded postseason works now with 6 teams in either league. And, of course, we've seen some rarities. We've seen some weirdness the last 2 years with this expanded bracket, teams that we would not expect making deeper runs, getting hot at the right time in late October into early November. But can I convince you to maybe sprinkle on the American League Central? Of the 6 divisions around Major League Baseball, only one has 3 teams with a winning record. That is the AL Central, the Guardians, the Royals, and the Twins. If the season ended today, of course it does not. 2 of the 3 wild card spots in the AL would be from the AL Central. Donnie, they could have 3 of the 6 teams in the American League, and yet the second longest price to win a World Series as a division.
Yeah, nobody's trusting them because that front-end starting pitching talent is what gets everybody's attention once you get to the playoffs. We don't technically have that between those 3 teams, but they're fun. And also, Ben, we're not talking about April 15th. What a nice story the Royals are with a winning record. We're in the middle of June now. These ball clubs are for real, and you could get 2 to 3 teams in the playoffs out of that division alone. It's good stuff.
Listen, I've got the Royals team win total over 73.5. I have some affinity for KC. I really want to believe that Kansas City can make a playoff run.